Hey, everybody, welcome to the Jimmy Dore Show. I'm here with the miserable liberal and Ron Placone.
Hi, Jimmy.
Hello.
Ron, you going to be in Austin telling jokes?
Yeah, Austin, November 10th, and Pittsburgh, November 23rd, and in January, doing a run in Florida. RonPlacone.com for tickets.
Everybody check it out. All right. So I want to talk real quickly about, there's a housing crisis all over the country, right? It's unaffordable. People can't live in the communities they work, right? So teachers can't afford to live in San Francisco or Manhattan, or bus drivers or janitors or blue-collar workers. Same thing's happening in Los Angeles. I think the average one-bedroom rent in Los Angeles, wasn't it $1,800? Okay, I shouldn't throw out stats if I'm not sure about them. So let me take that back. But anyway, I know it's crazy here. And right now, there's a proposition on the ballot. It's called Proposition 10, California's rent control ballot. And so I'm just going to explain to you what it is because it's a good thing. About Proposition 10, you should vote yes on it. And Proposition 10 would give cities the ability to expand rent control. So right now, there's this law called Costa Hawkins.
I want to let you know how much your increase was. So the average rent is in LA $2,800, and it was
That's for a two-bedroom.
Average rent. It just says average rent here, and it said that it went up 10% from $2,500 from last year.
Really? And where's that? Where are you getting that from?
This is from rentjungle.com.
Okay. So they passed this law. It's called Costa Hawkins Rental Housing Act. And so what that did was it limited municipalities' ability to impose rent control. And it said that any building built after 1995 didn't have to conform to rent control. And even earlier in some cities like Los Angeles, well, we're going to get to it. Right now in the city of Los Angeles, for example, only buildings constructed before 1978 are rent controlled under Costa Hawkins.
Mm-hmm.
So any building built since Jimmy Carter's administration is not subject to rent control. And let's remember that rent control, inside of rent control, it includes that the landlord makes a fair profit. Nobody's going to lose money. They're going to make a fair profit. But this is a great way to stabilize communities. Costa Hawkins passed in 1995. At the time, Sacramento Bee columnist Dan Walters referred to it as an anti-rent control law. Here's the three ways it screws people. Landlords have the right to raise rent on a rent control unit to fair market value every time a tenant moves out. So if someone moves in for 6 months and they're under, boom, they can raise the rent. Cities are not allowed to apply rent control to units built after February 1995, like I told you. And for cities that already had rent control on their books when Costa Hawkins was passed, the cutoff is backdated. Like I said, in LA, the dates are October 1st, 78. Santa Monica, April 10th, 1979. July 1st, 1979 for West Hollywood. And 1995 for Beverly Hills. I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like
that's amazing. And by the way, single-family homes and condominiums are exempt from rent control restrictions. So it's important that we do this. There's no affordable housing left in places like Los Angeles, places like San Francisco, and well, this doesn't pass rent control. All this does is give you municipalities the ability to pass rent control. This doesn't impose rent control. It just gives your local governments the ability, if they think it's necessary, if the community agrees to it, can also pass a form of rent control. That's all that means. And inside every rent control legislation includes a fair profit for the landlord. Not the landlord needs to lose money. The landlord makes a fair profit. So it's important we get this done. So yes on 10, right? Would you agree with yes on 10?
Yes on 10.
Big time.
Yes on 10. And here's some of the arguments for it. You can't read it, but I'll read you just a few of them. California's not going to be able to build its way out of its housing crisis. So this would immediately protect tenants from excessive rent hikes and keep residents in their homes. Rent control can provide stability to tenants, enabling residents to live in and invest in their communities in the long term while building savings that facilitate upward mobility. That comes from a UC Berkeley study. Researchers at Stanford have also found that in San Francisco, for instance, rent control has helped prevent minorities from being displaced. And Los Angeles desperately needs affordable housing, but the number of rent-controlled units in the city has actually dropped, in part because new construction is exempt from rent control. So, cities and communities know, cities and counties know their needs of their communities the best. And it should be up to them to decide how to alleviate the housing crisis locally. That's a great argument. This is a decision that was made at the state level that supersedes local governments from doing what they want. So that's we're usually against that form of thing, and so we are in this situation too. Give it back to the municipalities. Let a municipality. Hey, if I live in Santa Monica and I want to put rent control on new construction, let's do it. Everybody gets to make a fair profit, but everybody gets to have a fair rent also. Anything?
Yeah, I mean, 10's a big one, and it's really important that passes. And a lot of the arguments against, like on the next slide, they're just so incredibly weak arguments.
The argument. So here
Yeah,
are some.
yeah.
So here are some of the arguments against it. It doesn't encourage the construction of more housing, which California does. Okay.
Yeah, if there's a demand for housing, it's going to happen. Period. That's just what's going to happen.
California should be focused on housing production, including a construction of affordable housing, but the nonpartisan, so blah, blah, blah. Economists tend to frown on rent control, mostly because it can limit supply, and it discourages property owners from maintaining units. That's pretty weak.
Yeah, that's very weak. And I'm sure, I'm a big fan of Richard Wolff. I have a feeling he's in favor of rent control.
Yeah.
He's an economist.
They say that this last thing, it says that rent control actually helps create gentrification.
Yeah.
How? Because if they can't raise their rents, then they just take those rental units off the market and they sell them.
And that benefits high-income individuals.
Yeah.
As opposed to just being able to price gouge rent whenever you feel like it.
Yeah.
That certainly...
Yes, exactly.
That helps everybody.
Yeah. So they're saying that you don't want landlords to take their rental properties off the market if they can't... No, we don't want them to be able to raise their frickin' either 6 or 1 half a dozen. They're both horrible. So, by the way, Prop 10, if you live in California, it's this simple. If you rent and care about people who do, vote yes so we can afford to rent.
Boom.
Boom. There it is. Yes on 10. Our next live Jimmy Dore show is February 1st in Burbank, California. Go to jimmydorecomedy.com for a list of all our live shows, and please become a premium member if you can. Become a patron. It's the way we support this show because they're coming at us, and we give you bonus. We give you hours of bonus material every week. Check it out. Become a patron. And if you can, make sure you're still subscribed. They unsubscribe people every day. I know it sounds crazy. It only takes a second. Please make sure and click that bell when you subscribe so they'll send you a notice when we drop a video. Thanks for your support.